Absolutely. You just don't know. It would be really ideal if we could tell the rapist from the non-rapist, but that's not the case.
Doesn't work that way. It's not always the really creepy-looking dude. It doesn't work like that at all.
No.
It could be just a regular, normal, good-looking guy. Ted Bundy was not that type of guy.
Absolutely. He was a master at disguises, and that was his approach. A nice man using a ruse, a subterfuge, to gain the confidence of the victim, and then all of a sudden, that's her. So,
the more I hear about this, the less seriously, the thing that just disgusts me about this is that guys know this is going on. I would think, because I'm old and whatnot, and I never really went through that whole bar scene thing when I was young anyway, but I mean, this is something, the people who should be policing this are guys, not girls. Girls have to be on the lookout. They got to keep those antenna up all the time. They got to keep their head on a swivel. But man, if you're dudes, you got to be looking out on your friends.
Yeah. In addition, this is the type of crime that we are reactive. We cannot be proactive in this type of crime. In other words, we only discover these crimes when a victim calls, says, "Hey, I've been raped." That's why we hold this type of symposiums to arm women with a lot of tools and a lot of knowledge.
It's really tough, isn't it, too? Because, I mean, even if the GHB's burned out of their system and whatnot, you know what the rapist's going to do. He's going to call it consensual the next day, and the girl's already got this story about how she lost consciousness and she doesn't know what's happening. And the guys are invariably going to go, hey, it was all her idea, and you got no way to disprove that.
There's really two defenses to rape. It wasn't me, I wasn't there, or it was consensual. So that kind of makes it tough.
Well, it comes down to, if there's DNA evidence, you play the consensual card, and if there's not, you play the it wasn't me card. Yeah, that's a fresh idea. Give a college girl some horse tranquilizer and then drag her out to the car. Guys, seriously, look, everybody makes bad decisions all the time. I get that. But girls, I mean, is that something you help advise them on? Do you have like a checklist you give girls if they're going to go out of the do's and do not do's?
What we usually do is mostly in my unit, we concentrate on the prosecution aspect.
Well, sure.
The criminal aspect. But what we do is we encourage them to go to the Alliance Against Family Violence and Sexual Assault, who are the counselors and the experts in giving them counseling and tools.
Yeah, that's all cool, but you have seen where this can end up. You guys have seen the ugly, what can happen at the end of this when it goes south, and that's got to give you a unique insight into what you can tell girls to keep this from happening to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't.
And isn't that the frustrating part?
Yes. They're in denial. That the person, because we have three different types of rapes. We have stranger rape, acquaintance rape, and date rape. And when it becomes an acquaintance rape or a date rape, the stigma that it carries with it, and sometimes they don't want to accept the fact that the person who they knew actually raped them.
Right. And that's got to, in that the whole breach of trust thing, that's got to be one of that. I mean, rape is such a horrible violation anyway, but I know this sounds terrible, but at least in your head, it would be easier to deal with if it wasn't just a stranger, just a serial predator person, than somebody you know. I mean, because that, and you got to, and part of the deal, and like you said, is a lot of time, this is pretty hard to prosecute a lot of the times once you start playing that consensual card. Can you imagine having to go back to school with a guy who did that to you and couldn't be prosecuted? Because if there's no way to prove it wasn't consensual, that guy's just going to walk every time.
Absolutely, and sometimes I see this type of scenario in young teenagers just starting to date. Their boyfriend will pressure them or will even rape them, and then they use the excuse, well, if you love me, you're not going to do anything or you're not going to say anything. And the young teenager is traumatized, doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, for life. That's
absolutely, and they fail to tell their parents.
Wow. And you know what the other sad part about all this, too, is the ages at which you start seeing this type of behavior. It's getting younger. This is such an overly sexualized society, all these kids, and it starts younger and younger. And I would imagine it because, is the younger the kid is, the dumber the kid is, and the more they're likely to do something just this stupid. And if they see the older guys doing it, too, they probably think it's cool.
Right. They make poor decisions, unfortunately.
Wow, and girls end up being the victims. Well, folks, seriously, is this something that fills up? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if it was standing room only at this event tonight?
We certainly hope so. I like to think that is a really good program with a lot of expertise. Our panel has a lot of expertise in this field, and I encourage the public to attend. It's free, and power is knowledge.
And Lisa Green will be there.
Absolutely.
From the DA's office. She's pretty good at putting bad guys away when this type of thing happens. Well, Detective, on the one hand, it was very nice to meet you. I'm glad you came in. But on the other hand, I wish I could rewind the last half hour and not have heard any of this. But because I got a daughter, and whether or not you have a daughter, I mean, this is just the worst kind of behavior. Well, guys, girls, everybody, be at CSU, be at that all-purpose room tonight at 6:00, and get yourself educated. If you got a daughter, make her go, and you go with her, too, because you guys need to pound this stuff into their little skulls. And even then, bad stuff still happens. All right, we got to get to break. We'll be back. We got a lot more to do today. We got a jam-packed show today. We'll be right back. It's the Scott Cox Show. It's KERN Radio. We're bigger and better. AM 1180.